It was a Tuesday when the silence in our home became unbearable, a suffocating blanket that wrapped around me, whispering that our walls had forgotten how to echo laughter and joy. 15 years felt like an eternity, yet in truth, Jared and I had morphed into mere shadows of our former selves, occupying the same space but living in separate worlds, each day dissolving into the next like a watercolor painting left to run in the rain. I remember that day at the office vividly. Alex leaned over my desk, his laughter slicing through the monotony of my life like a warm breeze. And in that moment, I felt something stir inside me. He was different, young, vibrant, and blissfully unburdened by the weight that had started to crush my spirit within my marriage, and I felt a flutter of excitement I hadn't felt in years. A dangerous thrill that made my heart race. Every conversation with Alex ignited a spark within me. A reminder that I was still capable of feeling alive, of craving more than the predictable routine that had become my life. But each laugh I shared with him felt like a dagger to my conscience, a brutal reminder of the promises I had made to Jared, the man who had stood by me through every storm, yet now felt like a stranger. I tried to shake off the guilt like a dog shedding water, but it clung to me, heavy and relentless, every time I returned home to Jared's warm smile that now seemed to question my very soul. He sensed the shift. I could see it in the way he watched me, his brow furrowing as if trying to decode a language I had long stopped speaking. His jealousy simmered beneath the surface, a silent storm threatening to break, and I wanted to reach out to reassure him. But the words felt like stones lodged in my throat, suffocating me. One evening, as we sat watching a movie, he turned to me, his voice low and careful. "You seem distant, Rosemary. Is there something eating at you?" I wanted to scream that it was Alex, that my heart had found a new home, but instead, I smiled and brushed it off. Just work stuff. You know how it is. The lie hung in the air, a fragile web that felt like it could snap any moment, leaving me exposed and vulnerable, teetering on the edge of my own deception. As the days melted into weeks, I found myself counting the hours until my shifts at the office, knowing I would see Alex, and with him, a flicker of the woman I used to be. He listened intently as I poured out my frustrations about life, about Jared, making me feel seen and heard in a way that had become a distant memory. But that connection turned into a double-edged sword. With every shared secret, every laugh, I felt myself drifting further from Jared, even as I clung to the life we had painstakingly built together. One night, after a particularly draining day, I texted Alex in a moment of weakness. "I miss talking to you." His reply came back almost instantly. "I miss you too." Those words sent a rush of warmth through me, yet they were quickly followed by a wave of panic. I was teetering on a tightrope, one misstep away from losing everything. Jared, ever perceptive, began to probe deeper, his voice tinged with unease. "Are you sure everything is okay at work? You seem different." I felt the walls closing in. How could I explain this void I was trying to fill without shattering his heart into a million pieces? It was all too easy to slip into a fantasy where I could envision a life with Alex, one filled with spontaneity and laughter. But reality was a bitter pill I had to swallow each night. One afternoon, Alex whispered something that felt like a lifeline. "You deserve to be happy, Rosemary." Those words echoed in my mind long after our conversation ended, haunting me as I walked home, guilt clawing at my insides and twisting like a knife. And yet, the thought of leaving Jared, of walking away from the life we had built, felt like tearing apart a part of my very soul. I tried to reconnect with Jared, planning a surprise dinner, but the moment he walked through the door, fatigue etched across his face, I knew I had failed spectacularly. We sat in silence, the air thick with unspoken worries, and I wondered how many more nights I could keep pretending everything was fine, while my heart felt like it was breaking. When Jared finally spoke, his voice trembled. "I feel like I'm losing you, Rosemary. Please don't shut me out. I can't bear the thought of losing you." Everything in me screamed to confess my truth, to lay bare my emotional affair with Alex, but fear gripped me tighter than any rope ever could, paralyzing me. Instead, I reached for his hand, hoping the warmth would bridge the chasm that had formed between us, but that touch felt foreign, like holding a stranger's hand. As weeks turned into a chaotic juggling act of my emotions, I felt like a performer in a circus, each day presenting a new act in a show I had never wanted to join. The guilt gnawed at my insides, and the thrill of my friendship with Alex began to feel like a betrayal I couldn't escape, a shadow looming over my heart. One evening, while scrolling through my phone, I stumbled upon a picture of Alex, beaming with a girl, and jealousy pierced my heart like a thorn, a sharp reminder of what I stood to lose. It hit me hard. I was not the only one ensnared in this web of emotions, and it struck me just how selfish I had been, clinging to my own desires. The next time I saw Alex, I felt that jealousy weighing heavily on me, and when he leaned in for a hug, I instinctively pulled away, not ready to face the truth of what we were becoming. He looked hurt, and that hurt morphed into anger as he snapped, "What's going on with you, Rosemary? You've been distant and cold." In that moment, I felt trapped between two worlds, one offering the thrill of excitement and the other promising stability, but neither felt completely right. I left the office that day feeling like a ghost, my heart heavy with the realization that I had been searching for happiness in all the wrong places. When I got home, I found Jared in the living room, his eyes glued to the TV, but I could see the worry etched deep across his face, a reflection of my own turmoil. I took a deep breath, my resolve hardening. It was time to confront the truth, no matter how excruciating it might be. As I sat beside him, my heart raced, and with a voice barely above a whisper, I said, "We need to talk. It's important." His eyes met mine, and in that moment I saw the flicker of fear mirrored in his gaze, a shared dread of what was to come. The conversation that followed was a tumultuous roller coaster of emotions. Tears, anger, and a raw honesty that had been missing from our relationship for far too long. I confessed my struggles, the loneliness that had driven me to seek solace in Alex, and as the words spilled out, I could feel the weight of them beginning to lift, but the pain was palpable. Jared listened, his own hurt evident as he grappled with my betrayal, but amidst the tears, a glimmer of understanding began to emerge, a fragile thread connecting us. We talked for hours, the darkness between us slowly illuminated by flickering hope, but I knew it wouldn't be easy to navigate the aftermath of this emotional storm. In the days that followed, we worked to rebuild the trust that had been shattered, each conversation a cautious step toward healing, though the scars remained etched in our hearts. I still saw Alex at work, and though our connection had morphed into something less innocent, the memory of what we shared lingered like a bittersweet melody, haunting me. Eventually, I found myself at a crossroads. I could either continue down this path of emotional entanglement with Alex or choose the more challenging road of commitment to Jared. It was a choice that felt monumental, capable of altering the very fabric of my reality, and after much soul-searching, I resolved to fight for my marriage, for what we had built together. Months passed, and while the road was fraught with reminders of my past mistakes, I found solace in the small moments with Jared, the warmth of his hand, the sound of his laughter echoing in my heart. Our relationship transformed from mere routine into a conscious effort to connect, to communicate, to mend what had been shattered, piece by fragile piece. I learned that love isn't always a fairy tale. Sometimes it's a struggle, a battle fought through tears and raw honesty, and that was enough for me. As I lay in bed one night, I turned to Jared and whispered, "I love you, and I'm so sorry for everything I've put you through." "I know," he replied, his voice steady, "but we'll get through this together, one day at a time." In that moment, a rush of peace washed over me, a quiet understanding that love in all its messy, complicated forms was worth every fight and every tear. Thank you for watching. For more real stories and powerful dramas, be sure to like, subscribe, and explore our I Wove You Too channel. If you enjoyed this video, please consider supporting us and transforming your love life with the Make Him Worship You program, linked in the description. It's a game changer for any woman seeking the love she truly deserves.